So, what is a 47-year-old female doing in medical school this late in her life, right? Well, the truth is, everyone's path is different. Mine happened to have a bit of twist and turn. It was never straightforward, and I'm okay with that. I get to say how I want to live my life, and I've chosen to combine my love for teaching, my love for public health, to pursue medicine while raising my family. My name is Tracy, and welcome to my channel. I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, I'm a community health nursing professor, but I'm also a 47-year-old second-year medical student. I've had multiple careers. I've been a teacher, I've been a nurse, and I've always been on the path that I was meant to be on. I'd like to outline 7 things that I felt were necessary for me to have in place before I started medicine. As an immigrant, I did not have the means to pursue medicine in my 20s as I'd wanted to, and so I waited. I made a list of all the things I would like to have in place before doing so, and I'm happy to say that I've been able to do that. Now, my list may not work for everyone. It's very individualized, but for me, it was important to have a few things. So here are the 7 things that I considered and wanted to have in place before pursuing medicine. The first thing, money. I wanted to make sure that I did not have to touch the money from my family, touch any of my investments in order to go back to school. I also wanted to make sure I didn't have to take any loans. I wanted to be able to pay cash or have money set aside for conferences, for travel, for stipends, whatever I needed without going into my regular paycheck. I wanted to make sure that my job was flexible enough so that I can earn more if I needed just by working more. So my nursing background came in very handy for this, because if I wanted to earn more money, I simply needed to teach more classes, and that would help me to come up with the funding for each semester. My second consideration was finding the right school. Now, I knew that I would not be able to go to a traditional medical school. I knew that my husband, who is actually a medical resident, would be very busy, so I would have to pick up the childcare and the household duties, most of it anyway, which means if I'm going to pursue school, it had to be in a setting that was pretty flexible. I could not be tied into a specific location, for example, for classes. I don't want to be sitting in traffic to go to class. I need to be able to access what I needed online and on demand. I needed to be able to study anywhere at any time. Now, is there a risk? Of course. There is upfront outlay of cash, but also there's a risk that I may not match, because my school is also considered an international school. So the match rates tend to be lower than for those who actually have gone to a traditional brick and mortar school within the US. But it's the option that I needed to work with my family, and I do not regret that choice. The third thing I looked at was having time with my family. That's a big deal for me because, like I said, my husband is a medical resident and we're busy enough. So it was important for me to go with my son to every field trip, to every birthday party, to every event. I have only missed one field trip, and it's because that one was by lottery, because everyone wanted to go and I didn't win. But otherwise, I do not miss events with my child. I am there listening to my lectures. I'm in lecture live, or I'm sitting there, I'm going through questions, I'm reviewing my text, but I'm not missing out on family. I can be present with him, I can put my books away, I can spend time with them, and then I can pick them up when I'm ready. Preserving family time is very important for me, and that was a major thing that I did not want to miss out on because he's still so young. The fourth thing that I wanted to make sure I had was support. I wanted to make sure I discussed this with my family. I wanted to make sure my friends knew what I was doing, so the people in my circle could be there for my support. The truth is, I thought that would have been enough, but turns out it wasn't. And you don't always get the support from the people you'd like to get it from, but you also don't get it necessarily the way you want to get it and at the times when you most need it. So I actually reached out online, which is one of the reasons for this channel, because I find that if we can find other people who are walking the same path, having that extra support of someone who actually understands what you're going through is very useful. So that support for me is very key, whether it's just checking in online, whether it's a quick text message, or whether it's social media. I've actually found social media to be very useful as I'm going through school. I've reached out to total strangers asking for help with classes, and they've been very responsive. And people are willing to share, and I'm willing to share with them. It's been very useful for someone who's a little bit older, who is not always up with the latest technology. It's been very helpful to find those millennials who are really very good at technology and are willing to help, to reach out and to share their experiences as well. So having that support for me is quite key. Number 5 for me, brain power. I'm almost 50 years old. Things don't click as quickly and as easily as it did when I was in my 20s. And so a big thing for me was being able to stay healthy, having a schedule where I'm juggling my household, my small business, my duties as a professor, and also medical school. This required me to carve out time for exercise, for being healthy, for time away, just to de-stress from everything that's going on. And so having that brain power, having that reserve is important for me. I am not one of those persons that can get around in my day on 4 hours of sleep. I need a minimum of 7, and 9 is my sweet spot. Number 6, knowledge. I needed current knowledge, and I needed it now. I'm actually a healthcare provider. I'm a nurse practitioner. And so my small business is one that's geared to seeing patients. So I already have experience seeing patients. I'm going back to school for a greater depth of knowledge. I'm going back to make the connections that were never made. I'm also going back to give me the flexibility in my job and the ability to do things that I can't do as a nurse practitioner right now. But here's the thing. I did not want to be sitting in school getting knowledge that I felt couldn't help my patients right now. So going back to medical school, I had to ensure that the knowledge that I was getting, even in the first year where they said it's just basic sciences, I needed to make sure it was relevant to my practice. And I found that it was. I'm very happy for this journey. It's one of the most exciting journeys I've taken in my life, and I've taken a few. So having the knowledge now means I don't have to wait for 4 years and then 3 years of residency in order to be able to serve my population. When I was in nursing school, the final year of nursing school, actually, I started a free clinic. And while I stepped down from my executive director role a few months ago because it was just too much, I am still a provider there at my free clinic. And so the knowledge I'm gaining now, I'm able to use that to help my patients there in the free clinic, as well as in my own practice. That for me is making medicine relevant. Finally, number 7, I wanted to make sure that I was at peace with this decision. This one for me was the hardest, and it actually took me almost 2 years to feel settled in my soul that I should be doing this, that I'm allowed to do this. Yes, I know I'm allowed, but when you're a mother, you're constantly thinking, if I do this, how much time does it take away from my child? Am I hurting my child in any way? Am I hurting my marriage in any way? As I mentioned, my husband is a medical resident. We already don't see each other enough. So I had to come up with strategies in order to spend more time with my family. But for a long time, I was not at peace. I knew I wanted to pursue medicine. I had put everything in place to make this the right time to go. But at the same time, I worried, am I in some way hurting my future? Am I in some way hurting myself? Am I putting down good money that could be put towards my retirement, investments for my child? Am I pursuing something that many people say, well, you could have done without it? Yes. But am I pursuing something at the detriment of my family, at the detriment of my future? Everyone has to answer that question for themselves, whether you're 20 years old or you're 65 going back. It's up to you to make that critical decision, but also to be at peace with that decision, whether it's medicine or some other area of your life. For me, I connected with people that were important to me, and I shared how I felt and why I felt that way. And they were understanding, because many of the women in my circle are professional women who also wear many hats. And it's from my circle that I drew that support and understanding. But more than that, I am a Christian. I prayed over this decision. I felt that God was moving me in this decision, and it opened doors for me during COVID to be able to do this. And so I drew my peace from my understanding that God wanted me to walk this way. I'm at peace today with this decision. It is a beautiful journey. It is a stressful journey, but I can say making this decision and pursuing medicine, at the same time juggling motherhood and all my other passions, has been the highlight of my life right now. I hope you join me. I would love to share my journey with you as I do this. Consider liking and subscribing. Take care. Bye-bye.